The Clockmaker's Paradox 1, The Curious Case of the Missing Hour. It began with a letter, not an email, not a text, but a crisp envelope sealed with wax and delivered by hand to the doorstep of 221B Grafton Street, the peculiar residence of the infamous detective Basil Thorne. Basil was no ordinary sleuth. He wore mismatched socks on purpose, spoke in riddles even when ordering coffee, and kept a pet raven named Euclid who could recite Shakespeare. His mind was a labyrinth, brilliant, erratic, and utterly captivating. The letter read, Basil's eyes gleamed. Chuckles. A missing hour. Deliciously absurd. 2. Wren Alley's whisper. At midnight, fog curled around the cobblestones like ghostly fingers. The clockmaker's shop stood silent, its windows dark, its signs swinging gently in the wind. Mallory and Sons, horologists since 1842. Inside, the air smelled of brass and oil. Clocks of every shape ticked in eerie unison. At the center sat a man in a velvet chair, pale and trembling, Elias Mallory. I woke yesterday at 7 a.m., Elias began, but the sun was already high. My watch read 8. I checked every clock, all said 8. But I remember, clearly, being awake at 7. I lost an hour, and with it, my son. Basil raised an eyebrow, thoughtful. Explain. My son, Thomas, vanished yesterday morning. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, just gone, and I swear it happened during that missing hour. Basil paced, tapping his cane. Pensive. Time doesn't vanish, but perception does. Let's find your hour. 3. The clocks that lied. Basil examined every timepiece in the shop. Grandfather clocks, pocket watches, cuckoos. He paused at one, a peculiar brass clock with 13 numbers, muttering. This one's wrong, he muttered. It ticks backwards. Elias frowned. That's Thomas's creation. He was obsessed with time loops and paradoxes. Basil's eyes narrowed. Intrigued. A brilliant mind then, possibly too brilliant. He turned to Euclid. Fetch me the boy's room. The raven squawked and flew upstairs. Thomas's room was a shrine to obsession. Diagrams of wormholes, sketches of time machines, notes scribbled in Latin and binary. On the desk sat a journal. Basil's fingers trembled. He wasn't kidnapped. He escaped. 4. The paradox engine. In the basement behind a false wall, Basil found it. A machine of gears and wires, humming softly. A brass chair with electrodes. A clock with no hands. Whisper. The paradox engine, Basil whispered. He built it. Elias gasped, surprised. He said he was close to something, said he could undo moments. I thought it was madness. Basil activated the machine. Lights flickered. The air shimmered. Suddenly, the clocks all stopped, and then ticked backward. 5. The hour reclaimed. Basil awoke on the floor. It was 7 a.m. Thomas stood before him, eyes wide, surprised. You activated it. I did, Basil said. And now we're in your missing hour. Thomas nodded.
Tell me about my father.
Basil tilted his head. Go on. Thomas handed him a photo. Elias with a stranger exchanging a vial. He's not who he says he is. He's not my father. Basil's mind raced. Then who is? Thomas pointed to the machine. It showed me. He's a time thief. He's lived hundreds of lives. He steals hours from others to extend his own. Basil turned to Elias, who had just entered. Is this true? Elias smiled coldly. You're clever, Thorne, but too late. He pressed a button. Time snapped. 6. The twist of the clock. Basil awoke again, this time in his own study. It was morning. Euclid cawed nervously. Something was wrong. He checked the date. It was 1892. He looked in the mirror. He was Elias Mallory. The machine hadn't just moved time. It had swapped identities. Thomas had tricked him. He hadn't escaped. He'd orchestrated the swap. Basil was now trapped in Elias's body, in a time not his own. And Thomas? He was Basil now, free to live in the present, with Basil's mind, reputation, and resources. Euclid fluttered to his shoulder, whispering, Time is a thief. Basil, now Elias, smiled bitterly. No, he said, it's a magician.